guys. Thank you for listening and welcome back. I'm really happy you're here. I know you want to find out what happens to Dia. I'm going to be reading the finale of The Darkness. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. They got in his car and started driving somewhere, but she had no idea where they were going. "So what should I call you?" Dia asked him. "You can still call me Steve," he said, smiling quietly to himself. He had his hand on her thigh and squeezed it slightly. She breathed in deep. His car smelled new, and she saw nothing but darkness and trees as she looked out the window. They arrived at his house. It was only about a 15-minute drive. "How long have you lived here?" Dia asked before getting out of the car. "Not that long," he answered. They entered the house, and a half-naked young girl appeared. "Who's this?" the girl asked. "Our new guest," he said. "Oh, hi," the girl said. "Are we going outside today?" Dia asked Steve. "Not today. We're going to do something else," he said. And right as he spoke, he launched himself on the girl, biting her neck. Her blood gushed out, and enough of it escaped his mouth, spraying across the room. Blood hit Dia's forehead in tiny squirts, and she squinted her eyes. Her body began to shake as she nervously watched Steve. The girl lay vulnerably in his arms while he drank her blood. "Help me," she gurgled, looking at Dia, then died. Dia stood frozen, with her mouth open in shock, and her heart racing in fear. "Help me carry her outside," Steve said. She helped him lift the stiff, lifeless, heavy body, and her hands became covered in blood. They carried it outside and placed the body gently on the grass. Steve knelt next to the body and touched its arm while closing his eyes. He drew in its very essence and soul. He asked Dia to join him, but she shook her head. She looked at her hands again, and the blood was drying into her skin and nails. She ran to the bathroom to wash her hands. She pumped an exaggerated amount of soap onto her palms and left the sink water running and scrubbed her hands hard. Then she placed her hands underneath the hot running water until the water ran clear and there was no pink. He knocked on the bathroom door to make sure she was fine. She told him she was okay and would be out in a minute, but she wasn't. For some reason, she couldn't get the smell of blood off her hands. Come on," she repeated as she vigorously scrubbed. Later that night, when she went back to the bathroom to wash her hands, Steve was lying on the couch with his eyes closed and looked as though he was sleeping. She didn't want to wake him, so she walked to the bathroom that was farthest away. She remembered walking past one near the entrance of the house. It was nighttime, and on her way there she glanced out the window. Surprised, she saw Mark's car parked outside. She was elated and opened the door. She ran over to Mark, who was getting out of the car, and hugged him. "How did you find me?" she asked. "Your phone GPS," he answered, kissing her forehead. "You're healed," she said, looking at him. "From head to toe." Jay and Sean were sitting in the car. Jay rolled down the window and asked, "Where is he?" "He's inside." We should leave, she answered. They got in the car. Mark was driving, and she sat in the back, next to Sean. It's good to see you, he said, squeezing her hand. She smiled at him and felt a warm feeling rush through her entire body. Where are we going? She asked, once she realized they weren't heading home. To the airport, Mark answered. We already bought tickets and everything. Guess where we're going, Sean said, smiling. Where? She asked. Argentina, he answered, and they both started laughing. Mark and Jay just looked at each other. The rest of the ride to the airport, Dia sat quietly, looking out the window. She wondered what Steve's reaction would be once he realizes she's gone. Will he come looking for me, or will he just leave us alone finally? She thought. But one thing was for sure. She knew that if she performed a ritual, that he would feel her light, and for this reason, she had to be very careful. It helped that they were going to live so far away. The distance would provide some protection against him. And her light might stay hidden from the darkness all around. Her thoughts were like waves coming and going until her mind became a gentle sea of calm thoughts. And the voices got quieter and quieter. She closed her eyes and fell asleep and entered a deep sleep without dreams or nightmares, without anger or pain. Just the comforting darkness in that car surrounding her, keeping her light hidden and safe.